Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions you're asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records of cash. We laughing, we drafting the passion to vary. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Conscious is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magic, let's basking it. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers? What? All the answers.
Katie Rubin, look, Mick's already here.
Okay.
We're just gonna tell him to stay quiet for 10 minutes, and then we'll start talking to him.
Whatever.
I gotta go find my actual microphone piece, but I'm gonna sit on mute.
What about 15? How about give us 15? Come on.
Whatever you want. I'm just gonna be here.
He'll just be in the background.
So happy you're here. Can't wait to talk to you. It'll be great. We'll be so enthusiastic in 15, I swear. Okay, we'll see you soon, Mick. We love you. Get the fuck out of here. He's so cute. I'm so sad he went away.
I'll miss him. He's still there. You know that.
What?
So
No.
don't say anything that you don't want him to hear.
Oh, he's fat. He's so fat.
See, he's not gone.
No, I actually legitimately cannot wait to talk to Mick MIZE. I'm just getting my this is our get our shit together chit chat time.
Yeah.
That's where my head is. Des is here. Look how much bro energy is in this room right now.
There's a lot of tea. Big amounts of tea.
I'm going to grow a dick accidentally just by being in this room.
Word up.
Accidentally?
Accidentally?
That's a weird way of putting it.
How are you guys? Dicks aside.
My dick is on the left side. Thanks for asking.
Desmond?
Without my dick, I'm nothing today. I cannot put my penis aside today. It is permanently attached to my feelings.
It's influential in your choices, decision making.
Like the planet Neptune and his dick are both influencing him.
Oh. In what sense, Des? Tell us more.
Is your penis retrograde right now, Des?
I am in a growing phase
of your feelings.
No, I'm actually doing very well with or without my penis.
Okay, got it.
Good.
Understood.
Glad we got that.
All right, why don't we do normal check-ins, like Cass and Katie check-ins about things occurring this week, getting us into the whatever topic is going to organically merge into Mick MIZE land?
Hold on.
Okay.
Unorganically, make sure you keep 5 minutes for telling me how farts.
Oh, that's
the healing power of farts.
I'm planting a flag in that one, and we're definitely going to find a natural way to...
Well, we should start there. We're going to start this.
All right. Katie, tell us about farts and how they heal.
It's the healing power of farts, particularly. That's the phrasing. Thank you, Desmond. You did an amazing job listening, receiving, making notes, reminding us. Well, okay. Did you ever see that episode of Louie did you ever watch that show before we
didn't like him anymore? I watched a lot of them.
Anyway, there's one episode where the entire episode is a oneer, like a one shot almost. I'm pretty sure it's one shot of his sister. I believe that's the character calls him because she's having a heart attack, and she's holding here and her left arm, and she's in a ton of pain, and she's crying and screaming, and he's on the phone with her being like, okay, well, first you have to call the ambulance, and then, okay, I'll meet you there. And the whole thing, the entire 30-minute episode is them on the phone, and she's talking, and the nurse comes in, and then she's on the gurney, and they're rolling her in, and people are crying, and he's calling his mom, and you're just on them the whole time watching her get from her, I don't remember where it starts, house or whatever, to the hospital to deal with this heart attack she's having. And the last shot of the episode is or the last moment of this shot that it lasts forever. All these people are around the gurney, 2 nurses and 2 doctors and a cardiac specialist and Louie. And the sister is kind of a larger lady, and she's on the chair and her knees are up. And in the midst of all this chaos, she rips a hard fart that's layered big fart. And then she goes, oh, it's gone. I'm okay, guys. I think I'm okay. and the whole, just the entire emergency energy of the episode just deflates like a tire. Just poof. and then it just ends. The entire episode is a lead up to a fart punchline, which, if you've met me before, makes me
That's your happy place.
so happy. I honestly don't know what to do. Tangential. So that's background story number 1 to my actual farts have a healing, whatever the sentence is. The second background piece is that in the improv group I'm in, Dave Bogan, one of the guys who runs it made up a game one time.
Debo.
D-Bone.
D-Bone? Is that his name?
No. While he was high, I guess, in a shower, made up a game called the fart game, where he was like, so he made it up and now we all play it. And he's been playing it with his team forever. The game goes like this. You're 2 people, you're in a scene, and it has to be a very serious scene about cancer or death or suicide. Like, you're not allowed to smile, and it's not allowed to be funny. And so you're just doing a really serious scene and setting that up, establishing it, right? And then the person on tech, because they're really into their tech with this team, which I'm loving, the person on tech at any time can blow a fart through the overhead system, the sound system. And they have, I'm not kidding, like 300 farts on deck saved in their tech. So you're like, well, she's not going to make it. And mom would have wanted us to. And when the fart hits, you have to, wherever you're looking in the scene, you have to look in the other scene partner's eyes and you can't break a smile. That's all. That's the whole game.
And then continue with the scene.
So like they make a really big deal about like, no, but really move the scene forward and it can't stop at the fart. It has to keep moving. But the farts are so creative. There's one that goes, it's like the actual sound from the video game. It goes, boo-doo-boo-boo-doo-boo. There's ones that have full sentences of text in them. There's like boo. There's all the flavors of fart. You never know which one you're going to get. I love it so much. I'm pushing for them to rename it Katie's Game because I'm always like, can we play a fart game? Are we going to play a fart game? Can we play a fart game? And they're like, not till the 10 o'clock show, honey. I'm like, but I want to. All of that is the backdrop of what happened the other day, which was I had this back injury. Y'all know about the back injury. Back injury is doing a lot better. Back injury was like from lifting too heavy, but it like pinched something that was really like ready to be pinched. And then I, of course, because I'm me, I had a 7-hour healing experience about it, which I can fucking talk about or not. I don't give it any fucks anymore. But I had this whole profundity thing that my digestive system, and I was looking psychically while I was healing it, I was being shown like the way that my nerves and my spine were like literally not correctly fused to my digestion. And so I did this whole like 6-hour process to like clear out in my spine what was between my nerves and my digestion. And then once I cleared that out, the nerves had to literally refuse into the small intestines. Wild shit. Okay. So that happened. And then I think 2 days later, I had 2 shows to do and was like, not quite there yet. Anyway, the long and short of it is digestion. So there have been several days this week where whether I drank something or ate something or didn't drink something or eat something, it would affect my back pain like a lot. You know this? You've had this?
Yeah, I feel like I've had, digestion connected to back pain.
1,000,000%, right? So anyway, I'm driving to the first show of 2 that I had to do one night. And I was messaging my friend Kat and I was just like, I'm actually really concerned. I feel very hot and very sensitive. And I don't know if I could do this show. And I'm going to get some water on the way. And when I get there, I'm going to put some ice in the back of my neck. And I'm like, why did I say yes to these shows? Like, I'm not ready. And I just really was talking to her for like 40 minutes on the drive in. All of a sudden, 2 blocks away from the theater, came out of my butt. And I was like, oh, I'm ready, bitches. And I did 2 vigorous, hilarious, flipping up in the air, getting picked up by men, wrapping my legs around people, up on people's shoulders, shows back to back until midnight.
And how's your back now?
It was better. It was even better.
That was it. That was the final beat of your fart problem, of your back problem.
I mean, it's still got it's working itself out. But
okay,
on that night, it went from like acutely like, should I go to the ER to, and like, I definitely can't do these shows. Why did I say yes? To, I am absolutely at my A game level of functionality.
That's amazing. I feel like I thought I was having a heart attack or something, such stabbing pain in my chest that I was terrified, and then just ripped a good burp and was like, the heavens, like the fucking clouds parted and the sun broke and the light shone of God upon me with one just good ripping And I've also had a fart that felt like that. I think that might have been the best thing that ever happened to me.
You ever have a fart or like you ever have gas interrupt your ability to be sexually functional?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Tell us about it.
Well, there's a rule that you learn about. I think it comes from what's his name? No, not Adam Savage.
Hamish Linklater.
No, Savage. Dan Savage. The sex therapist, not therapist, the sex advice guy. And it's simple. It's fuck first.
Okay.
Like if you're having an evening where you're going to like make a big dinner and it's going to be a lovely date night, have sex beforehand because you're going to be like afterwards and not feel sexual because you're going to be like, oh, that was such a good dinner. Don't come near me for a minute or let's lie next to each other and watch a movie and so if you are planning on having some fun time later that evening, yeah, be careful about how you eat and what you eat.
Yeah,
I've held one in. I've definitely been like, I'm getting a stomachache while having sex, and I wish I wasn't.
and you've held the fart in while.
Yeah. I've also been blown back by being down below one time.
No. I don't believe you.
Luckily, it was the funniest thing that had ever happened to either one of us, and so we were able to laugh about it.
That's
not like
real.
Hair blown back, but I'm downtown, and then oh no, it happened.
No.
Yes.
And no, fired. Everyone's fired. We can never see each other again.
It was fine.
Ever.
We loved each other.
No
this was a long time ago, but
no feelings. No eye contact. You're dead to me.
I have to burn your phone number, delete it from my phone. I might have to move, or someone has to move to a different town. We were living together too, so that's.
She's got to get a new landlord real fast.
Well, her dad was our landlord, so it was going to be me that was going to leave.
Very surprised we've never talked about this before. Don't you feel like?
I don't think it's as uncommon as you think.
But this topic in this way?
Farts and sex?
No, like farts being the answer to your deepest problem in a moment.
I mean, and I could say in that case, that might have brought us closer together. It established trust.
That's the actual reality of what I'm sure would happen.
Yeah. It was a test of trust of like, well, that has now happened. A, are we still attracted to each other? B, can we look each other in the eye?
So the reason this hasn't come up yet, Katie,
is
because this whole show is a synonym for farting while going down on somebody. Well, I'm just saying that like since we mix spirituality and comedy, which a lot of people would call
a fart and oral sex.
Yes.
It's like the best thing and the fart.
I see.
Indeed. I was like, what is an ATA? Is that a thing I don't know about? Oh,
you mean it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor? No, it's an anagram. It's analogous.
It's analogous. It's anal. It's analogous.
It's anal sex.
It's analogous. I was like, what is ATA? Ass, tongue, ass. Nope. That's not what we're talking about. Because I wasn't in that area necessarily.
I don't want to. We're all set.
We can cut out this part. Let's not. I feel like I've gone a little too far with no, we don't have to cut it out, but I feel awful right now.
You should tell us the person's name.
I will not. Although I've said enough about the details of our relationship that if they were listening, they would know exactly who we were talking about.
Oh boy. Well, I feel like this is a lovely setup for our guest today. Look at him. Look at that face. That's a man who understands the relationships between spirit and farts. But like, for real though, I feel like this is a fun setup because he
really wishes he hadn't come on the show. Look at this guy. He is not happy.
We haven't had a farty episode in a while, and the fact that it happened when Mick is here, I feel like in a way is synchronistic because if you think about the three of us socializing, it's just a fart walking. The three of us when we used to hang out, it's just farts and dick talk. Right?
So one of the things I regularly think about when I think about Cassidy is footlong floater.
The FLF. I'll explain. I had a teacher in graduate school, our movement teacher, who was also really into like nutrition and stuff and how to eat she had this thing where you weren't supposed to drink anything with your meal because that would dilute your digestive process.
I've read that.
And I was like, Jesus, that's a heavy move. And I tried it for a while. But she also, like, the measure of health was if you had foot-long floaters. If your poop was A, at least a foot long, and B, buoyant.
Wow. That's asking a lot.
That's a high expectation.
Yeah. Now, let's get to what's really important.
Mick MIZE.
Have you become an aviation guide? Do you do this on the outside of what's the guy at the top of the tower who's making the planes land?
He's an air traffic
control.
Let me just explain. This guy that we're talking to, his name is Mick MIZE. We haven't said it yet. So this is a good friend of ours. And B, he is wearing a headset that looks exactly like an air traffic controller.
Or you're playing fancy video games, but I want it to be the first thing.
Yeah, I'll bet you're doing a lot of streaming.
Unfortunately, this is a video game headset. I'm not liable to be employed by the airline industry yet. Yeah, you can see that the brand is actually HyperX, which is all video game stuff is named stupid stuff. And so if you want to get good stuff, it ends up being labeled with dumb names.
HyperX.
I was wearing them at my job back when we were in
Razor.
Yeah, Desmond is holding up his headphones that say Razor with the ZER. I was wearing my headphones at work back when we worked, in person in the before times. And one of my students walked past me, an adult, and said, "Oh, hey, you game?" It was like a good moment. And then now we're friends around gaming and we talk about Super Smash Brothers.
That's cool.
Hey, guys.
Unrelated to that in any way. Hi.
Hi. So I have once received while needing to pee so bad.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And it was the first real sort of this was many, many years ago. So if my wife is listening to this later, this is not you. It was the first time me and this particular person had been had sort of gone past like first base, really. And and I needed to pee really badly. It's actually like maybe you don't know this, Katie, but if you need to kill a boner, the best way to kill a boner is to urinate.
Oh.
Because you can't pee through a boner. It just doesn't.
But
or
if
a
you
full.
have a boner, can you pee?
You can. It takes a
yeah.
lot of focus, and you have to do a weird pointing maneuver, and the whole
kind of a tilt the pelvis, arch the back.
You're sort of leaning against the wall. You got your hand,
lever it down with your hand, like. Ugh.
But so then you're saying though, but once you pee through a boner, the boner's gone.
The boner will go away. It can come right back if you have an attractive, friendly person.
If you're 27-year-old, like you were at one time.
Yeah, I was probably about 27.
It was me. I knew about it.
I was just going to say, it was Cassidy.
The person was Cassidy. Yeah, but I don't think I've ever had my hair blown back by anybody.
Have you had a fart in your face ever?
No.
Not even with our friend. I'm going to just say his name. We were doing a show, Mick and I, where we started the show underneath the stage, and we were all waiting down below the stage. And our friend Darren Bridget, who was a hilarious actor, he loved to sit on your leg and fart. Like that was his thing, is to maneuver himself against your leg or your lap or your crotch and fart.
But he would always disguise it wonderfully. He'd be like, "Hey, so you guys, I think that in scene 4, we should..." You're like, "I'm warm." Weird. And then like the hatch is opening and we got to like make our entrance.
But he hated when I did the crotch brush joke.
Oh yeah.
Where I would maneuver myself to get near so that he'd have to like look at a spot on my shoulder and then I could tap him inappropriately in the pants.
Tap the dingus.
And he hated that. And okay, fine. You hated it. I get it. It's inappropriate. If you say, "Don't touch my crotch," I should never touch your crotch again. I want to honor that. But also, you're farting on my leg repeatedly, buddy.
I love how you say, "I want to honor that," when you definitely did not honor that.
No, not at the time.
I mean, you want to see a grown man hop. Like, hop is not a...
Like, I never actually touched anything. Just get near it. That's all I needed to do.
Just brush the dingus.
Just brush the pants. Anyway.
Was this the play that I saw that you both were in, where somebody fell through the floor?
Uh-huh. That was Darren. He was jumping up and down on a rotten stage part of the stage.
Oh God.
And he broke through the floor and gashed his leg open. Luckily, we were wearing knee pads. And so he just pulled his knee pad down over the gash and turned it into a pressure bandage
Jesus.
and filled his socks with blood till intermission.
Oh my God.
Theater!
That's why we just don't do it all the time now.
And I just told this story. That's so weird that it just came up. I just told the story to Jeff Raz, who Mick and I both know, that we used that as leverage rather than making a stink about it with the company. We said, okay, fine, but you have to change all the really shitty intermission and pre-show music that had been designed for the show. Do you remember this? We hated this music and they wouldn't change it. And so we said, we're not going to make a stink about this if you change the music.
Wow.
And they did.
Meaning like you weren't going to call the union equity or something, right?
Right.
Because you could get in big trouble.
I mean, they still had to fix the stage and address the issues, obviously, and that was fine. And
they just let him bleed, though. He never
Ugh.
healed.
he never healed.
He lost that leg.
He's dead. He's dead now, that guy. Oh my God. So Mick is here finally. I can't believe it's this many episodes before we had you on. That seems very weird to me.
I'm not very spiritual.
Lies.
You're okay. You're one of the more spiritual dudes around. You just do it in a like integrated talk to people, feelings, earth way. And that to me is very spiritual, which we've talked about a lot on here.
So this is actually something I was thinking about while I was sort of musing about what to even talk about. And one of the things that has long, I think, kept me a little bit away from the spiritual community is and I'm sure you've talked about this 100 times, is how challenging it can be to have conversations like the ones we're having.
Oh yeah, farts and poo.
Yeah, you get real about, or, and this is where I'm coming from. There's so many people in the spiritual community. When I join a new crew or am in a party full of people who are in the spiritual community, and there's lots of like shoulder holding and like looking at each other's eyes and lots of sincerity.
Yeah.
That tends to make me feel like running or,
Well, yeah.
I want to go at arm's length to that. And I find it sort of challenging to like, I don't know. Yeah. Talk about poop, but also and here's the flip side is not the fun side of comedy, but like, I think I have a default sort of cynicism and like, oh yeah, that'll be a good time, that I also find is not welcome.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's actually a good thing because once you start getting spiritual, that becomes sort of unpleasant to be around, or it makes you go, this person's got some stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
We have definitely talked about this
a lot.
I talk about the breathy voice is a thing that I don't trust. And I'm going to toss the ball to Katie by saying you've just described exactly why I only trust, but that I trust Katie in this realm. Like it's been my entry into a deeper spiritual connection has been conversations with someone who also talks about farts right away. And how actually that is the heart of this podcast is dick joke, let the light in, dick joke.
Yeah. I mean, that was literally everything you just said, and your concerns about it are the actual impetus for why we have 500 episodes is like, or however many, I don't even know how many it is, but like
over
it's
150, I think.
Sure. 500, same.
Math.
Is because, my whole life I've been this person who has these otherworldly abilities and developed them through 4 different training programs of many years. But who was I was never, ever gonna give up anything that feels authentic. So like, you'll notice even when we go into the records today, if we do that for you, that my tone will shift and I will become softer and more open and it will get very sincere. But to me, that's because that does happen inside the spiritual space. There's a more sensitive, sweet openness in that space.
And then sometimes you sound like Dorothy Parker, like sassy bitch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but that's my point, is that you get in there and for me, it changes the frequency of my experience of being in a body, which then causes me to speak a different way, except for when it doesn't. Then there's times where the spirit is like, bitch, sit down, listen, you have to do this, stop doing this, take your drugs, don't take your drugs, whatever it gets very direct through me. And I think it likes that. I mean, that's part of my whole thing is like my whole business is built on, we're going to be real here and we're going to meet God. Ready? And a lot of people aren't. So I don't have a clientele full of hold the shoulder, sensitive, whatever.
Precious.
Yes, because the preciousness makes That's just, it's also, sometimes I think it is kind of how certain people are, but it speaks to me of an oversimplification and an over one notification of what a person is. People are dynamic, complex individuals, and sometimes you can do airy-fairy if that's what's happening. But to me, it's like, if it's not authentic, I don't have time or interest, because my point of view is God is here going, you be you, home slice. Let's learn about how you can be you. Let's heal stuff from the spiritual realm so you can be you.
So you just made me realize that, yes, this is why I surround myself with the people that I do. Why we've all known each other for so damn long. And I just bought my first pair of reading glasses this year, you guys. Yep.
Oh, welcome across the Rubicon.
Yes. So that's happening. But also, it's, we can all relate to this too, is like, there's a performativeness to that kind of sincerity.
Right. Totally. Like, look at me proving.
And a playing the part.
Well, we talk a lot on here about the energy of proving and how pretty much like this, to simplify anything insincere, you can go, am I proving? Am I looking to prove my worth and value? And if so, stop it, because it's not who you really are and you don't have to do that. But you're so right. I'm proving how spiritual, how soft, how available, how open. But I do have a question for you, because I wonder, when you say that, did you fear that if you came onto this podcast that we would be that way with you?
No, I've listened to this podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I know you guys.
No, I just thought the way you said it, I thought you were sort of saying like, I didn't want to come on because I was afraid you were going to do the sincerity thing. And then I'd have to be like, I hate you people.
No, this is where I do have to tell you guys that we're never talking again.
Oh.
You came on to break up with us?
Yeah. It's been great.
Well,
I have known Katie since we met in the Bay Area because of a mutual friend who introduced us to each other. And there were 2 meetings that we had where we were like, is this going to be maybe a dating thing? Are we going to, we're both single. Interesting. She's cute. He is attractive, right?
I like how you hit that part even harder.
wow. Good job.
Oh, man, I could tell. And then Katie invited me over to help her move. And I've told this story 100 times.
Yeah.
And Katie did say on the phone, you were like, just so you know, there are going to be other dudes there.
Oh, that's right. I did say that.
And it was so great of you because it let me know a couple things. Which, first of all, there were going to be other dudes there. And I wasn't going to have to lift all that BS by myself. And second, that this wasn't like a thing, right?
Huh.
But it was acknowledging that there was a thing that this was not.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Just so you know, Mick, you're not the only guy I've invited. Thank you so much. I'm going to go grieve for about 3 minutes, and then I'm going to go help this cool chick move.
Hold on 1 second. Because in my universe, that didn't necessarily mean there's no thing here. That just meant when you show up and other dudes are here, don't take that to mean anything. It just means I need arms that can lift.
That's true.
So what you're saying, Katie, is he misinterpreted it and you guys would be married for 10 years at this point.
You're saying I still have a chance?
I'm saying it's moist right now.
Well, later in that same day, we found a condom.
That's true.
Under Katie's bed.
Used?
No, it was under the love sack, which is even worse. It was not used. So I have that big, huge love sack, that red love sack.
Let's define what the love sack is, please.
It's a big beanbag chair. It's very huge, oversized, round beanbag chair. And under it was I think it was a condom wrapper. Oh, it was a wrapper. Okay. That sounds right.
I'm pretty sure. And we moved the thing out of the way, and there was a condom wrapper in the middle of the floor, and there were 3 men and Katie, and we all had a moment where we looked at it, and then we looked at each other and said, all right, cool. So you grab that end, and
we'll let Katie Katie, you grab the wrapper.
There's a sex life that is happening here, and none of us are going to talk about that.
That was awkward. It was awkward.
It was great.
I want you to know that love sack, that very one, is in this house. It's lived in 4 states with me.
Slutty love sack.
Yeah, it gets around.
That's still the best beanbag chair I've ever sat in.
It's really a very good one. It has a new cover now, but it's the same old love sack on the inside on a soul level.
So one of the things I was remembering, Katie, that you said to me once when I was dating, Katie Katie has talked me through so many relationships and so many breakups.
That's true.
And so have you, by the way, Cass.
I think I've been there for a little bit of that.
When my last relationship before I met my wife ended,
Oh, yeah.
I was over at your house smoking a cigar in your back porch and real broken up. I was really connected during that breakup to the idea of like, I was really grieving the like future that I just lost.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh.
that sense of like all this possibility and like what could happen and what's may very well happen. All of a sudden it's just gone. And it was like, I felt like this spiritual whiplash, you know, my whole body was like, what, who am I if that's not true? And I just didn't know.
Well, you know, the therapy people say like the grieving of the future you lose in a breakup is like some 60% of the grief is that, you know, some high number is like that piece is like so huge.
Yeah. I first understood that. Yeah. Then, but Cassidy, I mean, obviously it came up because we were talking about my breakup, but you said at one point, you were like, Mick, you do not need to worry. You are such a catch.
Aww.
Oh.
And it really helped to hear that.
And what didn't happen is you didn't hear what was under that, which was, I'm trying to get with you.
Your
and I'm
dick
doing some fishing
in my mouth.
And that's fine.
Put it in my mouth now.
Yeah,
Put it
so
in.
there's still a chance.
And later that evening, you had to pee so bad. No, but I appreciate that. I appreciate hearing that.
To also segue us into more spiritual talk, the other thing about you, Mick, that I want, you know, for our listeners' sake, is that you, in one breath, I've watched you go from, like, you'll say to me, I don't know, all that stuff, I'm not that spiritual. And then we've done a couple Sufi healings and divine light healings and access consciousness healings where you are the most heart-centered, receptive vehicle for spiritual light. You're one of the most receptive vehicles I've worked with. I work with a lot of people. And you're someone who, the moment I start bringing light in, you're like, falling apart, talking about your feeling. It's all there. It's all moving because, see, to me, that's where I go. That's why you're deeply spiritual to me, is because spiritual to me means I can receive energies that allow me to connect with what is true. And I can process through what is painful and what is true and get to the other side using, in this way, this crazy thing I use, which is divine light. So like, yeah, spiritual, it's just people's ideas of what spiritual means and people living into, like you say, a performative version of whatever that is. This is me just rolling dice about it. I'm just going to roll some dice.
Katie's jacking off in the air.
She's making that shape.
I appreciate being called out on that because I think my armor that I've been wearing for a long time, definitely from my dad, is very intellectual. It's very heady and it's very judgmental. And that's from the culture, right? But, you know, it's filtered through my dad. And there's a cynicism to it. There's a judgmental sort of quality to it. And the judgmentalness for me has always come from needing to feel better than, because I really don't feel like very good.
Yeah.
Right. Super common. But I don't know. I've been doing some work lately. I'm actually in a really interesting spot in my life right now. So I'm so glad that this opportunity came up. So I'm really glad to see you guys.
Interesting. How can you?
Yeah. I am actually on leave from my current job.
Okay.
I am on family medical leave.
You had some surgeries, right?
That was a while ago. I hit an anxiety wall about 5 weeks ago. And basically, I knew I was in a bad place because I started feeling really, really bad about myself and talking down about my abilities to myself. Like in my head, like I can get into a place where I'm really stressed, right? And I'm really upset that stuff is going wrong. And I feel like I'm not handling things well. But it hadn't for a long time gotten to the point where I started saying like, I'm bad at my job. I suck at this. I'm a career coach. And so I work with lots of people who are in doing career transitions. And it's a very challenging thing that they're doing. And it's really easy for me to go like emotionally into where they're at and be really empathetic and like absorb all of that. And they give us too many people to work with. And so I have to keep up good relations and then sort of fall into the emotions of too many people. And so the job either becomes, how can I be like present with people and like help them while also protecting myself, which is really difficult. you're just sort of going through and you already feel stressed and busy. And I have 2 young kids and I have a house and a wife and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My poor wife comes always like 3rd or 4th in the list, by the way. That's always a fun thing. It's like, I have a job and kids and a house. And oh, yeah, wife.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But so anyway, long story short, my dad once said that to somebody. He said, do you want the long story or the short version? And they were like,
Too late.
I'm not sure I've ever heard the short version from you.
I don't think they exist.
Yeah. Anyway, long story short, I hit the wall like 5 weeks ago, and over the weekend sort of went, you know what? All the ways I'm thinking about this right now don't feel like they're going to go anywhere and are shot through with anxiety and upset and a sense of futility. And so I need to call in the troops. I need to call in everybody else. I texted Katie. I called you. Left you a message. I called my therapist. I called my doctor to get some prescriptions, in. And I talked to my wife. I talked to my friends. And I asked for a leave at work. And a week later, I had it. And now, for the first time since we had our second kid, I'm on several week long break from work, and I've been doing some work.
Good.
And it feels freaking fantastic.
Nice. Rock on.
What does it look like to do work when you don't have a structure around, like, since you have just time to do it? What are you doing? Can I ask that?
This is what, I was hoping to actually bring this to the show, which is, so first of all, the amount of sort of modalities and what's the, stories that other people of what they've gone through, sort of options for healing and for spiritual work. Those have popped up to a much greater degree since I've been available for them.
Mm.
What a surprise.
I know, right? But it's so cool to watch it happening.
Yeah.
And to sort of go to think, holy smacks, I'm in the middle of this, right? And I am creating this. I am available for this in a way that I haven't been.
Right.
Right. And that feels just incredible. And it's also very reassuring. This stuff keeps coming to me. That means I'm in a good receptive place for it.
Right.
Right. There's like a validation piece to it. And that's actually something I want to talk to the bosses about. The
bosses up top or your bosses?
The
light bosses.
Yeah.
He's talking about your penis.
Right.
The boss.
It is named the boss.
And Katie's really big clitoris, we also call boss number 2.
And saying Born to Run about it.
Yeah. Clitori gigante. So
that's my metal band.
Feminist metal.
Yes. Oh my God. This is a good.
It's real
Take
good.
This and run with it, somebody.
The thing I wanted to bring to the show is this methodology. I want to see if either of you have heard about existential kink.
No, but I wonder if it's related to something that I'm thinking in my head.
I have a theory, but tell us.
So the idea here is that we have all of these, we have this dual consciousness, right? That we have our personas and our personalities in the world, and all of the things that are acceptable in the world and that are acceptable to us.
Oh, I see where you're going.
Also have all of this darkness that we're not okay, that we're ashamed about.
Right.
Right. We all have our things. I like it when people put their finger in my butt a little bit. I like eating ass. I like it when people make me feel less than.
I like it when I get my face blown back.
Shadow. This is called shadow work in
the shadow
therapy.
Work. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is shadow work therapy. The way into the shadow that this practitioner uses and is basically, what if we treated our shadow side like a exciting, kinky thing that does something great for us?
Right.
And what if we can start to acknowledge for ourselves the things that we are ashamed of, that do make us feel dark and low and shadowed? And what if we can get in touch with those parts? We can understand what that thing does for us, and then we can embrace that as being a sensation.
Mm.
And if no sensation is bad, and just the way that somebody can be whipped in a sub-dom relationship in BDSM, right, and experience a form of pleasure out of that pain, they've translated that painful thing into something that they're actually getting off on. And what if we can do that with our shadow sides and start to understand and start to embrace those pieces and incorporate them? And integration is a huge aspect of this. And she says that eventually, like, this stuff loses all of its power, over us and to create our behavior and to keep having us like repeating these things that we keep finding ourselves. Like, do you keep finding yourself with unavailable partners? Do you keep finding yourself with friends who treat you like crap? Do you keep finding yourself alone? Do you keep finding yourself like all this repetitive stuff that happens in our life is happening for a reason? You know, we're creating that in a way. We're not responsible for it in some senses, right? And I'm sure you've talked a lot about that.
Well, it's not my fault, but it is my problem.
My responsibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I found that incredibly helpful.
Yeah, I got that in the 12 steps, actually. It's not my fault, but it is my responsibility. Year 1, that changed my life.
I wish I'd gotten that.
You have it now.
Ah! Yeah. So anyway, it's very exciting. And I found it because of this article that we can link in maybe in the show notes. That was a description of somebody's experience using existential kink and then a couple of other modalities to find themselves at a place that they call deep okayness, where I'm no longer concerned that with my status. I know at a fundamental level that I'm pretty good. I'm okay.
Deep okayness. I like that.
Yeah.
I have deep okayness.
Yeah, I know.
I just want to own it. It's a nice phrase.
I recognize that. I like that feeling. I definitely have experienced it.
I want a t-shirt. I want shirts.
I am deeply okay.
Or maybe it's just deep okayness on the shirt.
Deeply okay.
So cool. Rock on. And so you've been working with it and it's working for you, it sounds like.
I just did it's a meditation. The core thing you do is a 15-minute meditation.
Cool.
And I did it for the first time this morning. And some really interesting stuff came up.
Rock on.
Yeah, really, really neat. So that's the kind of thing that I've had the opportunity to explore more with this time off. So to answer your question, Cass, it feels like, I don't know, just a lot more open, and not being time crunched is revolutionary. Everything, you know?
Well, that's why I'm self-employed. It's like I won't work on someone else's timeline because it makes me crazy. So there's no point in that crazy. So I set the time, you know?
Yeah.
Because I need to for sanity, not because I'm special. I need to.
No, I think actually most of us would benefit from that. I think the 8-hour workday, what the hell is that?
Insanity.
And that's the lower version,
right?
By the way, it used to be 16,
totally,
and it used to be 9-year-olds,
and feudalism and indentured servitude and slavery. Yeah, 100%. As it happens, I have, I do shadow work with people all day. I do parts work and shadow work all day with people, but I integrate into it the divine light work. So it's a combo blend of because what I see is when we bring the light to the shadow work, the shadow can reintegrate quite quickly rather than and this is just me and my preference because I'm like a speed addict. I want it to happen soon. I don't want to do 10 years if it can be 3 sessions or whatever. That's just me. So it's really cool though I totally relate to what you're saying about the shadow needing to come up, needing to have a voice. I had a client this very day where in the records they were showing me just keep asking her this same question. She kept wanting to talk about her ideas and thoughts about the pain in her foot, her ideas and thoughts about the pain in her shoulder. And I kept getting, what does the shoulder want to say to you? And she'd be like, ideas and thoughts about, and I would stop her and be like, no, what does the shoulder pain, feel the shoulder pain. Okay, cool. Be the shoulder pain. Okay. What does it want to say to you? Not you to me, not it to God, it to you. And instantly, each time she'd go I'm angry about da-da-da. And then the shoulder pain would leave. And then she'd go into her foot and she'd be like, I'm sad about boom. And then she'd have a spark in her body and a little Kriya movement like this, and it would be gone. And we did 15 different energies that she was having physical pain. She's like, I've had this physical pain 10 years. How did we just clear it in an hour? And it's just parts work, shadow work, where your parts get to finally say what they need to fucking say. And sometimes by say, I don't mean necessarily words that we understand. Maybe it's just an energy that needs to move, like you're talking about. Or maybe it's I need to come thinking about elephants. Whatever, I want to get hit with a palm frond, whatever the fuck it is. I love that we can, by holding the lower self, that's just a convenient phrase that doesn't come with judgment in my world. But by holding the lower self in the space of the light, it's you're bringing mercy, compassion, and no judgment.
Yes.
To whatever the fuck is there. And so that whatever is there can be expressed and therefore integrated. And then we're whole. My whole business is built on let's integrate. It's about integrating. And that comes back to what you were first saying, Mick, about the thing that annoys all of us about spiritual people, quote, quote, capital SP, is I think a lot of spiritual people forget that they came in a human body for a reason. And they're trying to like elevate past the human body or be beyond it or something in a way that is very disempowering of it, very disallowing of what's going on in the body. But if integration is the goal, then bringing spiritual energy in doesn't have anything to do with like dissociating away and being floaty. It has to do with using the light to hold space for what is heavy, dark, dense, painful, so that it can do whatever the fuck it needs to do. Ugh. So I love this topic. I love it and I so get it.
By putting it in the similar to kink world of like kind of giddy, like it is still putting like it's changing the spin on it so that you can let it speak. Because if we treat it as shadow, I can understand that people look at it, oh, well, that's my dark side. That's my scary side. So it's harder to let it speak. But if we go,
I see.
It's actually,
that makes sense.
It's pretty fucking cool, right? Look at this guy. Oh, look at this thing. Ooh, look at that weird dark thing. It's not dark, is it? It's actually, look at this sexy motherfucker. And then it can speak. And then, and then it's allowed to speak its piece.
That's doing this really, really complicated, really curious, really funny, really odd little thing for me.
Yeah.
Right. It's functional, right? This thing that's blocking me that keeps.
It has a purpose.
Exactly. And it's allowing me to be the victim always. Isn't that awesome? I always get to be the victim. I always get to be the one who's dumped. I always get to be, right? That's so funny. There's a deliciousness to it.
Totally.
Right. She keeps using the word delicious, which I just love.
Yeah.
That's what I've been thinking about.
That's cool. I've had a couple teachers frame all this like, what do you love about being a victim? What do you love about suffering? What do you love? And of course, everybody's first response is nothing. I don't love it. Make it stop. But then if you take time and settle into like, what do I love about this? Oh, I love that I get to, whatever. In my case, looking at that so many times repeatedly, like kind of in the same way where when you look at a 4th step in a 12-step context, you start to see over time, oh, I have the same 4 fears that are underneath everything, or I have the same 4 character defects that I always use every time. Okay, wow, that's helpful. I don't have every problem in the book. I have these 4 things, and then I can be aware of them, and then I can learn about how to work with them or change it or fix it, whatever you want to do. Anyway, similar to that, my repeat on the what do you love about all these problems in my life was I get to not have to take responsibility for it. I get to be a victim to it. I get to be disempowered by it. I get to be cozy in my familiar misery. And once I really understood that's the only payoff I was getting from most of the patterns, it was like, over time, I don't actually prefer that. I actually prefer the positive outcomes of doing the things more than the semi-positive outcomes of not doing the things, even though doing the things hurts.
Yes. So this morning I was exploring the shame I feel over not being more willing to get in shape, right? For having computer guy arms. Because I work a computer ass job, you guys. It's Zoom centric. And I've had this long relationship with just over the past 3 years since I've had this job and since the pandemic started of I'm not a tiny kid anymore with permanently flexible limbs. And I do need to do some things so I could stay in good shape. I want to have a long, active, vigorous life with my kids and for me. But why don't I do it more? And the thing, there's a shame there, but there's also this when I get to be weak and when I get to be injured, when I work out too hard, then it's very similar. I don't have to be responsible for my health, and I actually get to. I'm not fully there in this exact moment, but there's something about that I really get from that weakness.
Yeah, for me too. There was a lot of when I was into this. There was a lot of I get to rest finally.
Yes.
Like I couldn't give myself permission to take breaks and calm down. So the only way, and in my childhood, like the only time I ever got love was when I was sick. Literally the only time. So I've had to break through deep layers of that. And I relate to that I've been there. How do you let yourself rest if you've never even learned, if you have no internal nervous system template for rest, let alone permission?
2 different people recently gave me an example of one saying, I was wishing I would get like cancer or something so I'd be forced to quit my job.
Right.
And another person saying about a show that they quit. They woke up that morning wishing that their COVID test would come out positive.
Yeah.
And that's when they knew, maybe I got to quit this show.
Yeah.
But like when we get to that space where we're at, you need something else to make the right choice for you.
So the reason I'm having a 6-week-long break right now is because I had an anxiety attack.
You had to break.
I had to break. I've never gotten this low. I actually sprained my ankle, and that was the final straw on top of like all this various things going on in my life. And then suddenly not being able to be physically able the way I'm used to. It took that to really get me to the point where I was ready to actually advocate for myself.
Yeah. Because I'm hearing you and I'm aware of time because I have to teach at 6 in 28 minutes. Do we want to get in the Akashic Records and ask some stuff for you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Mick, do you have a middle name?
Toussaint.
What?
I like how that was delivered with such flat affect that then it was like, that was either the most perfectly delivered joke or the actual truth.
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
why would I lie about my middle name?
For comedy? For joke?
Toussaint. Michael Toussaint MIZE.
How do I not know this about you?
TOUSSAINT. I'm a saint.
I think it's because it doesn't match the rest of your name.
Yeah.
Mick MIZE.
No.
What's your middle name? Jicatois.
Exactly. Thank you.
Voulez-vous coucher?
Okay, let's do it. You guys ready? I want to give you the most time in there, so I'm pushing us in. Unless anybody has something else before we go.
No.
Okay.
Go ahead, Katie.
Fuck everyone.
We're here for you.
Okay, we're not doing it. We're not going in. I'm not doing it. I can't do it. That was a joke. Okay, so we'll close our eyes. And we'll take a couple deep breaths into the low belly. Believe it or not, it does help me help you if you can actually go through this meditation a little bit in a for real way, because I'm tapping into your energy field. So the more you do this, the more I can do for you, with you, as you. So we'll just breathe into our low bellies a little bit, anchoring our connection with ourselves all the way down into the center midline of the pelvic floor. Breathing into the space between the belly button and the pelvic floor. We'll see that whole area as looking like a balloon that fills with air each time we inhale, and a balloon that relaxes and empties as we exhale. Just that normal low belly breathing we learned in acting class, filling the belly, letting the belly button come away from the spine as we inhale. And we let it come back to the spine as we exhale. Great. And we'll feel, as we continue to do that, we'll feel into the bottoms of our feet. Become aware of the bottom of each toe. The balls of your feet in contact with the sock or the shoe or the ground. The arches of your feet, the heels of your feet in contact with the ground to whatever degree they are. And as we become aware of the full surface area of the bottom of each foot, and we're breathing nice and low and slow in the body to the best of our ability, we'll just visualize, imagine, allow a little spinning tornado of light, a little vortex of light, a little foot chakra to start to spin open at the bottom center of each of our feet. A little spinning tornado vortex of light, just imagining it at the bottom center of each foot. And we'll watch that vortex get wider and wider, like a tornado that's blowing out, getting wider and wider, until it gets so big that there's nothing left at the bottom of each foot but an open plane of energy. And we'll just intend and allow it to be the case. I mean, that by just imagining that that vortex has opened at the bottom of each foot, we have a deeper energetic connection between our physical bodies and the body of the earth. Lastly, we're just going to visualize 500 tree roots of light. Imaginary tree roots made of light, 500 of them, extending through the open window of each of our feet. So 1,000 tree roots in total, 500 through the left foot, 500 through the right, anchoring down hundreds of miles into the earth. Big, sturdy, thick, dense, wide tree roots of light, extending from the light body of you into the light body of Sophia Gaia, or the soul of this planet. And as those roots extend down, just in our imagination, understanding the imaginal realm is the midway point between this reality and the spiritual realm. So we use the imagination as a doorway in. We watch those roots shoot down and in, and simultaneously we're going to visualize, imagine, allow that our physical bodies are part of the light body of us above our feet, which we will say metaphorically is a huge tree of conscious light. So your roots are anchoring down into the earth as your body, being, mind, and conscious awareness become a huge, wide sequoia tree level of tree. Big, wide, deep, dense, that extends very, very high into the air, into the sky, into the heavens. And we'll imagine complex branches and leaves, very full, lush tree, wide and deep, tall and strong, made of conscious awareness. We're looking for truth and integration. And so through this visualization, we're expanding our conscious awareness, allowing ourselves to receive more from the realms beyond. And so we do acknowledge, as we continue to feel into our feet and breathe into our bellies, the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth, as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. Holy Spirit of God, protect me, please, from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know Michael Toussaint MIZE in the light of the Akashic Records. Help me, please, to see Michael Toussaint MIZE through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me, please, to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of Michael Toussaint MIZE have for Michael Toussaint MIZE. And I'll just go quiet for one moment. Okay, all right. And so as we're deepening into the Akashic Records of the soul named Michael Toussaint MIZE, I'm just asking the record keepers, consciousness itself, the divine light, to clear, release, uncreate, destroy anything and everything in his field or mind that would stand in the way of him receiving highest and best frequencies of light for healing, integration, wholeness, guidance, and direction for any questions he might have today. Anything in the way of that, we ask you take it, clear it, release it, process it, integrate it. Okay, so just briefly, and then I will check in with you about what your questions are. The first thing they give me is very, very strong visual. So I'm asking, is it in his highest good for us to start with this image? Yes. Is this useful information? Will it? Yes. Okay. So, the shape of the infinity symbol, if you imagine it, on its side, so it's like an 8 laying down. They show it to me repeated from your heart chakra. So on its side, the tight point at the center of the two blurbs is in the heart, the center of the heart. And it's going left and right, the infinity symbol at the center of your heart. And then there are sort of like infinite those stacked on top of the heart, up through the chest and the throat, the head, the crown, and so on. And they are speaking to an integration between spirit, emotions, body, mind, spirit, that is being asked of you to facilitate within yourself. The infinity symbol shows us when the density of our physical form is being asked to integrate with the higher frequency of divine conscious awareness through the middle level of density of emotions. So if the body is cement, the emotions are water, and spirit is air, metaphorically. the infinity symbol connects all three of these states of being through the center portal of the heart, reminding us that all of it is one energy. The purpose of a spiritual relationship is to soften, sensitize, open, and make supple and receptive the more dense aspects of the physical form. To soften, make supple, and more sensitive and receptive the more dense aspects of the emotional form. That is its purpose. It's not to make everything into it. It's to bring itself the spaciousness, the openness, the receptivity, the patience, the mercy, the truth, the clarity of its own consciousness, the light, into the realms of the emotional and the physical. This, as a result, of course, creates peace and deep okayness. So when I sit with like, why are they showing that to us? Like, what is the point? It's like, this is the moment of a possible, they say, this is another moment being offered to this being of possible integration between these realms. To be fair, there have been many moments offered. The question is there enough pain now for it to be more fully, holistically received? And that, of course, is up to the holder. Is there more on that? No. All right, so Mick, anything on that or anything else at all? Any questions? Whatever you want. The floor is yours. I'm going to have my eyes closed. Forgive me.
Mm-hmm. Just letting that resonate through me. I latch onto it with some of my current plans and designs, and then try to filter it through them, and then go, well, wait, what if it's not about those plans and is its own sort of idea? What if it doesn't have to be solely interpreted through what I've been thinking about already?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a nice sort of freedom to give it. I hope I don't have to be in any more pain to incorporate that. I'm actually feeling very sort of energetic and light these days around this stuff, like excited and feeling like there's a real opportunity that is available to me, that's afforded to me right now, that I'm eager to hold on to. So I think maybe that's I think my first question, I have a big picture question for me as well, but like, I think my question right now is about maintenance.
Okay.
And about maintaining this feeling of possibility and of sort of excitement to move into this stuff and to be opening doors for myself. Because that's what it feels like. I feel like there's so many, just so much opportunity that I have right now, and so many things that I've become aware of again that I feel movement with right now for the first time in a long time. And so maintaining that, how do I maintain that?
The enthusiasm?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the willingness and the openness to the potentially very destabilizing changes.
Right. Okay. Just a moment. Let me sit with that. Okay. First piece is, well, it's very simple and you're already aware. It is about time freedom. So you can't carry a boulder on your shoulders and expect to be relaxed enough to play a game of chess. You know, what the work you need to do right now is a game of chess. It's complex, it's subtle, it's internal, there's a lot to it. And it's joyful and, like you say, potential filled and, has light in it. So how can one pay attention to something subtle and sophisticated and light and joyful if one is carrying a boulder on one's shoulders? So time and space. And this is also about making choices from the following question. What do I actually have energy for? What do I actually have energy for? Not what should I do because it adds up.
Oh, fuck.
What do I have to do out of obligation for the family? What do I actually have energy for? And it may look very, very, very different. And very, perhaps, cobbled together. Less the one thing. More, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and it adds up to, I have energy for all of that. Does that make some sense?
Received.
Okay.
When you first said that, I thought of the I feel attacked.
You did just blurt out "fuck"
Yeah.
in the middle of it.
Ah, hell. Yeah, disruptive. I mean, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. I'm ready for it.
Yeah. And do you want the next layer of depth? It's a little more real.
Yeah.
You know, let me just really get how we want to say this. When the sense of self is shattered, injured, traumatized early on, the only option to a psyche, a budding, developing psyche, is to latch onto egoic notions of self. Right? The biggest piece of shit the world revolves around is, in fact, a paradigm one can heal. And it's about bringing healing to the narcissistic stage of development. Every human child goes through a narcissistic stage of development. And most humans on this dimensional plane get injured at that time in one way or another by the imperfect holding environment of the family, the judgments of the parent, whatever it might be. So this is about the wounding, the narcissistic stage of development starting to heal, which means and looks like any trappings of egoic identification must die. Anything you built up about yourself that was defensively built in order to protect you from the pain of your youth has to collapse. Then there's more. Once it collapses, you're left with a pile of vulnerable mush that is a sad, scared 2-year-old. You know, part of what makes this particular healing so tricky at this moment is this is about a very young part of you that you can't really access through your mind. Psychologically, mentally understanding. You have to feel him, her. You have to feel it. You have to be with it. You have to give it voice, as you were speaking about before. When you do so, there will be a faster integration than any of us here even think yet. For you, in your case, your system, interestingly, when you get through resistance, works very quickly. It integrates. Bum, 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 bum. But what you deal with is the resistance put up by the egoic structures that were understandably built to protect you. So this is level 3 of your spiritual development, you could say. There will be a level 4, and that will be all. Lucky you. So level 3 is the egoic death that comes with, what if I am an adult human man whose life looks very non-traditional in terms of money making? In terms of what my day-to-day is filled with? Can I, in fact, allow myself to choose what do I have actual energy for? So that I don't die, frankly, of stress and exhaustion and misery. And so, of course, I can be emotionally available to my people as well.
Yeah, and emotionally available to the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone.
Correct. 1,000,000% correct. Okay. What else? Does that help make sense, resonate? Do you have questions?
No, it just answers everything else, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well-
My other questions were about friends and work, and that.
And that just sort of got to it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot there.
Can you say they're interested in the friends piece? Can you say anything about, like, a little bit maybe about that?
Yeah, it's. I feel like I have. I want more friends.
Yeah.
And my original question was, how do I make new friends? But now I've also just been thinking just now, it's like, well, what about you guys? What about my old friends? What about, and what does that look like? And how does that, how can that be what would be lovely now? The kind of things that I'm really hoping for.
Mm-hmm. Have you had time for the meetings?
Yes.
Okay.
Some.
Any friends there?
Yeah, actually a new home group and a great group and they're more like, meeting buddies.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely there's been some interactions like just outside of that, and just more in the last week when I'm not so time poor.
Yeah. Give me a second here. There's something here. Okay. This is deep. Okay, also. So this can seem, what we'll say here, like, until you put it into practice, in the same way that you've been experiencing the thing where you're available for something and then all of a sudden it shows up. Wow, magic is real. I become open and there it is. This is the friend issue is actually, it has a fair amount to do with the frequency of your being, which is to say, as the frequency of your being continues to, let's just say, integrate or elevate through the work you're doing and the work you're going to continue to do with this ego death stuff and the processing of the narcissistic wounding, as all of that integrates and the densities alleviate or become more mist-like, then it's almost like they show it to me like they show me you walking down the street in the little town area and just people are pulled in. They're just pulled in. You don't have to try. Or you're in a place you normally go with people you sort of know, and you look to your left and all of a sudden you're like, oh, hey. And you realize somebody's been sitting there the whole time, but you couldn't receive them. The frequency of one's being, the state of one's heart, has everything to do with what that human can receive. So sometimes we can't receive what's right here for us because of the frequency we're being. So the work you're doing, and hopefully will continue to do, is changing your frequency such that you'll, and then they bring me back to the double helix, or not double helix, sorry, the infinity symbols. That work raises the frequency, connects the spirit to the emotions to the body. You're still going to be a solid human man. It's just the frequency, the timbre, the vibration of that solidity will resonate differently and pull into it different people. It will require, in your case, however, because of the way your mind works, a choice to shift your thinking on certain matters. Like, people will start to be pulled in. You'll be like, oh my God, I'm a little different. Oh my God, who are these people? Oh my God, hi. And then you'll kind of want to, they may not come in the form you might want them to come in, but you'll recognize them by their frequency. And that may require a little bit of a mental shift in terms of how you label them or understand them, like how you categorize them kind of in your head. Does that make some sense?
I'm hearing that my friends are no longer going to be as devastatingly attractive as you guys, for example.
Right. They might be slightly less attractive.
Well,
Yeah.
no one will ever beat us in looks.
Katie, I'm just giving you a time check because I know you got to go
I
teach.
just saw it. I think that is the spiritual teaching of today. Have attractive friends.
Yes. And be open to the Uggs.
Oh my God.
You know?
We have just lost half our viewership. I love it.
I'm going to close the records right now. All right, I want to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones. I got to teach in 2 minutes for their love and compassion, the lords of the records for their point of view, and the Holy Spirit of life for all knowledge and healing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I ask that you return all of Michael Toussaint Mize's energy to himself. I ask that you return him to his complete human wholeness now. The divine portal and the Akashic records of Michael Toussaint Mize are now closed. Amen. Divine portal, the Akashic records of Michael Toussaint Mize are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the Akashic records of Michael Toussaint Mize are now closed. Amen. And Squeezel's kissing my hand, which is a good omen.
I feel so attacked.
But your records are closed, so you can't do anything about it.
You know what I really, really like is you guys.
Me too.
We like you a lot.
But keep doing your work.
Do your work.
All of you.
Do your work.
Everybody do your work.
Great to see you.
We love you. Bye-bye.
What are you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you. You want this.
You want this.
You want this.
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com.
I gotta go.